Melania and Donald Trump's relationship has always been a bit of a mystery. Sometimes distant, sometimes united, but almost always rooted in some very old-school gender roles. And we're not just guessing here. They've admitted it themselves in interviews over the years. So let's break down a few moments that really shine a light on the way their marriage runs. First up, a resurfaced interview from 2004, back when Donald and Melania were still engaged, gave everyone a peek into their pre-marriage mindset.
Like, is he that kind of...
No.
No.
He's doing his job.
Uh-huh.
And I let him do his job, and I do my job, and the housekeeper do his job.
Ellen pushed a little more, asking about their household habits in general.
From a part of the world, the Austria-Slovenia thing, which is like immaculate, and she is so neat, everything's perfect. If I get up, leave bed for a minute, I come back, the bed is made, which is pretty amazing.
The whole exchange felt like a highlight reel of traditional expectations, with Donald as the provider and Melania as the woman who keeps everything in order. Quietly and neatly, of course.
I like stuff perfect, you know.
Me too. I like
I am
neat
very
things.
organized. So.
Good.
And it didn't stop there. After their wedding, the two sat down with Larry King for a chat. When the topic turned to having kids, Donald made his stance clear.
If you have the money, having children is great. Now, I know Melania. I'm not going to be doing the diapers. I'm not going to be making the food. I may never even see the kids, frankly.
No, you won't.
He tried to soften the blow by saying Melania would be an unbelievable mother while he'd be a good father. But what exactly does good father mean here? According to that logic, apparently just existing in the same house is enough.
Oh, her?
Yeah.
She'll be an amazing mother. I have no doubt about that. She'll be an amazing mother.
What we're seeing here is something that's been called weaponized incompetence, when someone avoids certain responsibilities by pretending they're just no good at them.
Is he changing diapers? You're changing the diapers?
I'm changing diapers. That's my job.
Donald didn't even pretend. He just said he wasn't going to do it. And Melania? She didn't push back, and he certainly did.
You know, to marry a man like Donald is, you need to know who you are, and you need to be very strong and smart, and, you know, he needs to know that he could rely on me sometimes.
But let's be honest, in this case, rely on me seemed to mean, I'll do everything at home while you do whatever you want. Over the years, Melania has talked about having her own independent life, but it often sounds like she's just staying out of his way. In an interview with Parenting Magazine, Melania said, "It's a lot of responsibility for a woman to be married to a man like my husband." She echoed the same idea with Barbara Walters.
To be with a man as my husband is, you need to know who you are. You need to have a very independent life as well, and supporting him. You need to be very smart and quick.
In a 2015 interview with People, Donald admitted that he didn't have much time for Melania or their son Barron during his campaign, but they get how important this is. He said, in other words, career first, family later. And guess who was picking up the slack? Melania explained, "My husband is traveling. Barron needs somebody as a parent, so I am with him all the time." Once again, Donald's public life is framed as essential, while Melania's role is to quietly keep the home fires burning.
Is yours a marriage of equals?
I would say yes.
I would say no. No, I think she's far greater than the 50%.
And even when Melania finally stepped into the spotlight a bit more, like during her press tour for her memoir, Melania, she still kept things vague. She told Fox's Ainsley Earhart that she and Donald don't always agree, and that's okay. It was a rare admission of difference, but not much more than that. Meanwhile, an old quote from Donald during their 2005 Larry King interview really says it all.
No, because look, I work very hard from early in the morning till late in the evening. I don't want to go home and have to work at a relationship. I mean, that's it. A relationship we have to work at it, in my opinion, doesn't work.
Maybe over time, Melania got tired of that dynamic, because more often than not these days, we see her giving Donald the cold shoulder in public. Let's revisit some of them. So, during Donald Trump's acceptance speech at the Republican National Convention, where he officially snagged the Republican nomination for the 2024 presidential race, Melania Trump was caught on camera doing what she does best, sidestepping a kiss from her husband. Yep, she just casually dodged it like she was avoiding a bad case of morning breath. Well, it's these little moments that keep us all on the edge of our seats, wondering what's really going on behind those closed doors.
Whether you love me or hate me, you gotta vote for me.
But wait, there's more. This isn't the first time Melania's body language has stolen the show. Remember that World Series game? The one where she smiled sweetly next to Donald for all of 2 seconds, before turning away and rolling her eyes as if she was thinking, ugh, not again? That clip went viral faster than you could say awkward marriage, with critics quick to point out that Melania has a knack for these less than warm interactions with her hubby.
Don't be rude.
Over the years, she's perfected the art of slapping away his hand, ripping her hand out of his grip, and just flat out walking away from him during photo ops. Speaking of hands, who could forget the infamous umbrella incident in October 2018? Here's how it went down. It was raining, and President Trump, ever the gentleman, was holding an umbrella over his own head, leaving Melania to fend for herself in the downpour. Chivalry is apparently dead, at least in the Trump household. Also, we cannot overlook that 2017 rally where Trump touched Melania's arm, and she shuddered like she just touched a live wire. Not exactly a love-struck display, right? Even a fancy fundraiser couldn't make Melania look happier around her husband. At the International Red Cross in Mar-a-Lago, Melania looked like she was already working on her escape plan. It was as if she had a mental map to the nearest exit, plotting her getaway with all the precision of a top-secret mission. Spoiler alert, she didn't succeed.
Never say never.
And let's not skip over their arrival in Israel, where Trump reached for Melania's hand, only for her to swiftly and subtly swat it away. The next day, despite the whole world talking about her hand-swatting skills, she did it again in Rome. But this time, she had a convenient excuse. She needed that hand to fix her hair. Yeah, right. Also, remember when Melania's yellow coat became the talk of Twitter? With her coat strategically draped over her shoulders, she set the internet ablaze once again when a video shared by NBC News showed Trump appearing to fumble awkwardly for her hand as they walked toward their awaiting aircraft. It was like watching a toddler trying to grab a slippery fish. It just wasn't happening.
Oh, and you like all her choices, or you ever like, what?
No, not all her choices, but tonight I like it a lot. She looks great.
And then there's that cringeworthy moment when Trump attempted to hold Melania's hand while welcoming French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte to the White House. Trump tried everything, tapping, curling his pinky, you name it, until Melania finally relented after what felt like an eternity. By the time she grabbed hold, you could almost hear the collective sigh of relief from onlookers, who were probably cringing so hard they pulled a muscle. This awkward dynamic isn't new. Remember when Donald and Melania hosted the Czech Prime Minister at the White House? Trump and the Prime Minister dashed inside, leaving Melania and Monica Babišová out in the cold. As if they were extras in a bad sitcom, Melania tried to shuffle around to get in line, clearly unprepared for this frosty reception. And things didn't exactly warm up inside. You can almost feel the lady's frustration radiating through the screen. Oof, the tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. But the pièce de resistance has to be when Melania introduced Donald on stage at a U.S. Air Force event. Normally, this is where you'd expect a sweet peck on the cheek, right? Wrong. Trump greeted her with a pro forma handshake and then, wait for it, gave her a little push, motioning for her to stand off to the side like she was an afterthought. You can't make this stuff up. And who could forget Trump's inauguration, the big day when all eyes were on them? But instead of waiting for his wife or, helping her out of the car like a true gentleman, Trump charged up the White House steps to greet the Obamas, leaving Melania to walk up alone a few paces behind him. It's almost like he was trying to set a new world record for fastest abandonment of a spouse on a historic occasion. Standing awkwardly beside his wife, Trump was no match for Obama's charm as he gracefully kissed Michelle's hand, perhaps leaving Melania to wonder what could have been. Adding to the awkwardness was the inauguration kiss, or rather, its absence. Trump leaned in, presumably aiming for a tender moment, but footage shows the connection was less than smooth. With Michelle and Barack Obama watching, it looked like a romantic comedy scene gone hilariously awry. Then there was that viral gif from the inauguration that everyone was talking about. On the Capitol steps, Trump looked back at his wife, and she responded with a smile that lasted for about 2 seconds. The moment he turned away, her smile turned into a grimace that looked like she had just bitten into a lemon. Even at the inaugural ball, Melania couldn't hide her emotions. Maybe it was just a bad angle, but that didn't stop the internet from buzzing about her seemingly sour expression on the dance floor. Probably the happiest we've ever seen Melania Trump was when she left the White House. Maybe it was the sweet relief of finally being free from the constant duty of being by her husband's side. In a show-stopping outfit, she made her exit with a clear sense of joy and unfiltered happiness. While Trump faced the media alone, Melania practically danced away. Her delight at leaving the White House barely concealed. If there was ever a moment that shouted, "I'm so ready for a fresh start," this was it. And let's not forget that infamous like on Twitter.
We're going to build a wall.
It was the like heard around the world when Melania's personal account hit the heart button on a tweet that read, "Seems the only wall Donald Trump's built is the one between him and Melania Trump. Ouch." Her communications director later claimed that Melania wasn't aware of the like and that they had since changed the passwords. But of course, by then it was too late. The internet had already had its fun. Then there was the White House Easter egg roll. You'd think it'd be a simple task to put your hand over your heart during the national anthem, but it took a sharp elbow from Melania to remind Trump to follow suit. What a girl boss moment for Melania. And lastly, do you remember his remark at a Republican fundraiser? The one when Trump took the stage and, in his usual unscripted style, joked that First Lady Melania wouldn't be overcome with grief if he ended up in a tragic situation. He compared it to Representative Steve Scalise's shooting, saying, "Scalise's spouse cried her eyes out when I met her at the hospital that day. I mean, not many wives would react that way to tragedy. I know mine wouldn't." It's almost creepy how it turned out to be a strange bit of foreshadowing, as in 2024, Trump ended up getting shot in the ear himself. Talk about life imitating art. Well, the art of humor, that is. Well, I bet Melania was upset about this, or so her public statement said. With a track record like this, it's no wonder people are glued to their screens every time the Trumps step out in public. But what do you think? Is Melania really unhappy with Donald, or is she just not a fan of PDA? Share your thoughts in the comments.